Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Before we begin, let me say this. This is my own take on these characters and what might happen next. The original story planted the seeds. I'm just sharing the version that lives in my heart. You know what's beautiful about love? It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It shows up in a kitchen. It shows up in a duck someone bought without being asked. That's where our story lives today. Let me set the scene for you. There's a family carrying a heavy weight. A father named Juan, once a successful man, now facing bankruptcy. They owe more than $5 billion. Companies are demanding payment. Lawsuits are being threatened. It's the kind of worry that keeps grown men awake at night. And yet, in the middle of all that fear, there's James. There's Diep, there's little Nye, and there's Grandpa Juan, the father everyone is trying to protect. They live simply now. Chickens in the yard, bamboo shoots from the hillside, a stream where a child bathes and laughs. What I love about James is that he doesn't talk about love. He cooks it. While the men discuss debts and deadlines, he's outside buying a duck, peeling bamboo shoots, thinking only of one thing. How do I make sure this family eats well tonight? That's not weakness. That's the quietest kind of strength there is. Let me tell you what happened that afternoon. James came home with a duck. Just like that. No big announcement. He told little Nee to take out her toys and play while he cooked. He said he'd handle everything himself. The uncle offered to help, and James gently refused. "You rest," he said. "I can do this." Picture this. A man kneeling on the kitchen floor, peeling green bamboo shoots one by one. These shoots are tricky, you know. You can only eat the low tuber. If it grows even a little above the ground, it turns bitter. James knew this. He chose each piece with care. "Sweet like jicama," he said, holding one up to the light. Then Diep came home with the father. The child had been bathing in the stream. There was water offered, a chair pulled out, a soft welcome. "You came home early today," someone said. "Come, have some water." And right there, in that simple exchange, you could feel it. This family still knew how to be gentle with each other. But here's what nobody saw coming. As the cooking continued, the conversation turned to the debt again. Juan admitted the truth quietly. Most people know he's bankrupt now. They demand payment up front. They're afraid. They don't trust him anymore. That's a hard thing for a proud man to say out loud. And how did James respond? He didn't panic. He kept stirring the pot. He asked Juan to fry some bones so he could stew them with the bamboo shoots. Life, he seemed to say, goes on. Dinner still needs cooking. Diep got to work too. She decided not to make soup. Instead, she made a fresh salad and some jelly for Nye. She planned 3 dishes. One stir-fried with pineapple, one with lemongrass and chili, and a raw bamboo shoot salad she'd never made before, just to see if it would taste good. You know what that means? It means even in fear, this family was still trying new things, still hoping, still building something good with their hands. A woman doesn't invent a new recipe on the day she's given up. She does it on the day she still believes tomorrow is worth feeding. Then Juan reached into his pocket. He had a few packets of candy. "For you," he told Nee softly. While the grown-ups carried mountains, he still remembered to carry sweetness for the child. That's the heart of this family right there. A man can lose his fortune and still keep the most important thing he owns: his tenderness. But that's just the beginning. Because what happened around that dinner table next is the part that stays with me. The part where a struggling family proved that the richest people in the world aren't the ones with the most money. Last we left off with a kitchen full of cooking and a family full of worry. The duck was nearly done. The salad was coming together. And the weight of $5 billion in debt still hung in the air. Then Juan picked up the conversation again, gently. His friend had gone to speak with the company that bought the wood. The news wasn't all good. They were demanding immediate payment. Pay now or face a lawsuit. That's a frightening sentence for anyone to hear. But here's the thing. Luckily, one company had agreed to let them continue. So Juan made a decision out loud. He would pay the most demanding company first, the ones threatening to sue. It would be exhausting, he admitted. Tiring beyond words, but then he said something I'll never forget. Don't worry, I'll find a way. I'll find a way. 4 small words. That's not nothing. That's everything. That's a father refusing to let fear win at his own dinner table. James kept moving. Stir-fry the meat first, he was told. And he did. This duck will surely be delicious, he said, almost to himself. The world was collapsing, and a man was still proud of his cooking. And there's something so human about that, isn't there? Here's what touches me about this. Nobody in that house pretended the trouble didn't exist. They named it. The debt, the lawsuits, the fear. But they refused to let it sit at the head of the table. Love sat there instead. And love, my friends, doesn't get evicted by creditors. Then came the moment that filled my heart. The food was ready. Bowls and chopsticks were brought out. And before anyone touched a single bite, they paused to pray. Thank God for this food, they said. Please bless it, that we may eat and stay healthy. Amen. And then those words, the ones that ran around the table like warm sunlight. I invite Dad. I invite Nee. I invite Grandpa. I invite Mom. Each person inviting the next to eat. Nobody starts until everyone is welcomed. In a home where money was disappearing, dignity was still being passed around like a dish. Juan tasted the food, and his whole spirit seemed to lift. So delicious, he said. He explained the bamboo shoots to the family, the way you only do when you're truly present. You can't eat the leaves, only the low tuber. Remove the leaves, and it's bitter, but the tuber is sweet like jicama. And isn't that the whole story? Strip away the bitterness, and underneath, this family was sweet to the core. And then something beautiful happened. The praise started flowing in every direction. Diep, this dish you made is wonderful, Juan said. The pineapple stir-fry is so fragrant, both delicious and sweet. Dad, try a piece. Nye, try the bamboo shoot. Eat a lot, child. This one is sweet. Did you make this raw salad yourself? Someone asked Diep. Yes, she said. I saw people making it and tried. And everyone agreed. It was delicious. A woman who had never made that dish before was now being celebrated for it. That's what a loving family does. They make your first try feel like a triumph. Juan pressed on with the practical truth too. Tomorrow, he'd collect money borrowed from a friend. They'd negotiate. They'd wait until the company sold, then pay more later. But notice how he said it. Between bites, between compliments. Eat a lot, this salad is really delicious. Business could wait, family could not. That balance, that grace under pressure, leads us straight into the heart of this whole story. Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat at a table where the food was simple, but the love was overflowing? Then you already understand what was happening in this little home. The tension was real. 5 billion owed, lawsuits looming, a father going out tomorrow to gather borrowed money and beg for time. Any one of those things could break a family apart. We've all seen it happen. Money troubles turn brothers into strangers and homes into battlefields. But not here. Watch closely, because this is where the hope lives. As the worries were spoken aloud, the family didn't scatter. They leaned in. They ate together. They praised each other's cooking. They fed the child first. The harder life pressed on them, the closer they pulled together. And then came the moment that crowns this whole video. Juan set down his worries, looked at the food his children had made, and let himself simply enjoy it. The duck James bought, the salad Diep invented, the bamboo shoots picked from their own hillside. "Eat a lot, Dad," the young ones urged him. And he did. A bankrupt man, eating like the richest soul alive, surrounded by people who loved him. You know what that is? That's a turning point, not in the bank account. In the heart. A man who once measured his worth in companies and billions was learning to measure it in duck and bamboo shoots and the laughter of a grandchild. That's the kind of wealth no creditor can ever take away. The realization seemed to settle over the whole table at once. They couldn't fix the debt tonight, but they could fix the evening. They could choose warmth over worry. And in choosing it, they reminded each other that they hadn't lost the only thing that ever truly mattered: each other. And then the words that closed the meal, spoken so plainly they almost slipped past you. "Thank you for Dad's duck today. It's best when everyone eats together." Say it slowly. That's the entire philosophy of this family in one sentence. Not the most money. The most togetherness. So our question begins to find its answer. Could a daily family meal really be the strength that keeps James and Diep standing under the weight of all that debt? Today, the answer was yes. The table held them up when the bank could not. This is the part that gives me hope, because a family that still prays together, still cooks together, still saves candy for the little one, and celebrates a first-time salad, that family is not poor. Not even close. They are wealthy in the only currency that lasts. But the most beautiful moment is still ahead. Because tomorrow, Juan walks out that door to face the people he owes. And what I believe happens next, the way this family chooses to stand beside him, is the part that will truly warm your heart. I'll save that for our next chapter together.